Okay, quick recap. This happened. Then this happened. In this video, I'm going to show you what's happened since then, what still needs to happen, and why it happened in the first place.
Maximalist Minibus with Mary and Captain and you. Get on the bus!
So we landed on the driver's side, and the bus obviously skidded across the pavement because look at the pattern here, you know, the scrapes on the side. But some things, including the window on the passenger side busting out, happened when it got pulled back onto four wheels with the winch. That's a big bounce. After they got him up on his four wheels, Max was towed to the tow lot, and I got driven there by deputies, and they dropped me off there, and I was just... The interior was tossed like a salad. I was just standing there like a deer in the headlights, and Becky, who lives at the tow lot property with her husband Robert, he's the tow truck driver, she just took me under her wing and was like, well, come on, let's do this. If not for her, I would have completely just fallen apart. She helped me start digging it out so that we could try to figure out what the actual damage was. By the end of the day, that first day, the crash day, we had taken everything that was loose and put it in these big trash bags outside. Unfortunately, it started raining really hard, so we had to throw everything back in. I slept in an RV on the lot that night, which is one of the incredibly kind things these guys did for me. Becky also took me into town to get food. She did that for me more than once while I was there. And Robert patched up the side window with a piece of tin so the wind wouldn't be coming in. They were great. At that point, it wasn't really clear whether Max was going to be drivable or not because the key was stuck in the halfway position. It wouldn't turn. At that point, I knew that even if it was drivable, I couldn't go anywhere until I got everything battened down inside. The next day, the sun was shining, so we started in again pretty early. The bed was okay. The planks had come up from under the mattress, but it's all pretty simple, so that was fine. But the sink itself was fine, but the vanity it's built into... See, water is heavy, so when we rolled, it pulled the cabinet over, but the top was still attached to the wall, so it just broke apart. The cabinets had come off the wall from the passenger side too, and all of that fell on my big old possum belly table and cracked the top of it in half. So those two pieces of furniture they're beyond repair. But the refrigerator was still running. It was plugged into one of my Montech X1000s, and they were both still fine. The Montechs... They're champs. They got tossed, they got wet, they didn't even hiccup. I'll put some info about them in the description because these things are fantastic. The fridge really impressed me too. People say you can't put one of these little dorm type fridges in a moving vehicle. They can't handle the bumps and all that, but this thing got slammed down onto its back, then bounced back up straight, and the only problem I had was broken eggs. I mean, there's a few dents in the surface, but I don't care about any of that. The inside of the bus started looking more manageable, but that was really only because we just took everything out, you know, so it was mostly empty by then. So I had to start going through everything, sorting it out, what was destroyed, what had to be tossed, what was salvageable. I don't know if you remember the video I did about my little storage packs that I used. They're makeup cases really, but the fact that most of the smaller things inside the cabinets were packed into these packs made it a little less of a nightmare to sort through. Becky and I got all the furniture stood back up. I decided not to take the broken pieces out because I figured I would use them as like containers sort of and junk them later. I used the cabinets as crates, which is basically what they are anyway. So I filled them up and I put everything else that didn't fit in the crates under the bed. There's a ton of stuff under the bed. I got out my ratchet straps, I strapped everything in, and that was pretty much as together as it was going to get. I really wanted to find out if Max was going to start up or not, but I figured I'd have to wait till Monday since it was a holiday weekend to get a mechanic out. But Robert got the key unjammed and Max started right up. Robert also made arrangements for a neighbor, James, who's a mechanic, to look at it. He has a diesel shop. I mean, how lucky is that? It's a diesel shop next door. So the brakes were still all locked up, and James said that part of the problem was that the axle seal was leaking, but the other part... Do you remember the video I did, well, I guess it was 2 years ago now, where the bus got broken into with me in it? I whip open that curtain and there's a guy standing there. Well, that was in California at this RV repair place. They redid my brakes, even though I'm 99% sure I didn't need rear brakes. Basically, they ripped me off, and I wasn't that confident then about the bus. And a lot of shops, when they see a woman driving an old diesel, they swoop in to take advantage. You can watch the video if you want the full story. But anyway, my brakes have really never been right since then. And I've brought Max to get the brakes checked out at least a dozen times, but no one has ever found what was wrong. I mean, it stopped the bus, so, you know, but because nobody was opening up the drums, they didn't see. If they had opened the drums, they would have seen that the brake shoes on both sides were installed backwards. They were reversed, which, you know, add a leaking axle seal to that. And yeah, I'm lucky I didn't crash before I did. And that's why I skidded all over the road. The actual cause of the accident really was me overcorrecting. See, I responded to the locked up brakes. I was trying not to hit anyone and I overcorrected. So let's talk about that for a minute. The truth is, if you have a dually, which most buses are dualies, Max is not a dually, but most are, it would take a much more dramatic overcorrection to tip you over. So that's probably not going to happen to you, not the flip over. But overcorrecting is definitely the source of a lot of problems. So it's something to be aware of. But anyway, James fixed the brakes, and I tried to go to the tire store up the road for an alignment, but they said Max was so big, so I had to go into San Antonio for that. And just to prove my point about the woman with a diesel thing, at the alignment shop, the guy told me I had a ton of front end problems that absolutely needed fixing, and the quote was $1,800. And I said, okay, hold up, give me a written list so I can go over it, and I'm going to consult with my regular mechanic. I was pretty sure that James would have spotted all of this if these issues were real, and the guy said, oh, okay, I'll be right back with the list. But instead, when he came back, he said, oh, I put it back on the lift and checked it again, and all you really need is an alignment and your kingpins greased. So the bill went down from $1,800 to $96, so it pays, even if you're not confident, to look like you're confident. Bottom line is Max is mechanically fine, structurally fine. The frame isn't bent or anything, but the surface, the skin, so to speak, there's a lot of damage there. He needs a bunch of body work, and I'm not talking about cosmetic things. In one spot, the seam between the sidewall and the rear wall is ripped open to make a huge hole in the roof, and there are a few spots where you can actually see through the wall into the bus. So that's what I have to figure out next. And the inside, I can't even... It looks pretty good, but it's an illusion. Believe me, it's all just strapped in for the ride. Most of that furniture is going to have to be junked. Can't even really think about the inside or I cry. I know this is really weird to say, but I actually feel really good about the whole thing. And that probably sounds too sappy to even believe, but the people I met, Becky and Robert in particular, I mean, when do you get hospitality at a tow lot, right? But I feel like I've made friends for life. I think Captain has too. And I'm already starting to think about how to make Max even better than before. I'm not totally sure how that's going to happen, but I have some ideas. Right away after the accident, I called some nomad friends who just really made it clear to me that I wasn't in this alone. It's a great community out here, you know, and you guys, so much love in the comments. Okay, I'm going to list the people who did PayPal and Venmo and super thanks over here, but I want to tell you that it's the comments, the support from the comments that means the most to me. So thank you to all of you, but especially these people here. Anyway, I'm back on the road. It's not perfect, but so far I made it to Walmart in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I'm on my way to Arizona. I got friends there. Here's a video about the crash itself if you haven't seen that one, and here's a video about the crappy brake job in California, and I'll see you soon with another update.